Not funny. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Not funny.
And we are live. Welcome to the Red Blue Pods number 105, talking about Mad Max the entire night. How are you, DC?
I'm doing fine.
This is good. I am doing good as well. And I'm surprised about these movies. You know me. I'm not a big fan of old movies. If they were made before I was born, I judge these movies heavily. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to talk about that. There's a new Mad Max coming out by the end of the month. Furiosa, it's like some kind of prequel or something. I will go see it in theater for sure, even if it's a thing we will talk about in June. Anyway, yeah. So there's 3 movies today, and I will let you start with the first Mad Max in 1979 with the notes I just sent you.
All right, so Mad Max is a 1979 Australian dystopian action film directed by George Miller, who co-wrote the screenplay with James Cosland, based on a story by Miller and Brian Kennedy. Mel Gibson stars as Mad Max Rockanesky, a police officer turned vigilante in a dystopian near future Australia. That's kind of sad because Australia is awesome. In the midst of a socialite collapse. A socialite collapse. Almost said apocalypse.
Societal collapse.
Societal collapse. Joan, Samuel, Hugh, Keys, Byron, Steve Bisley.
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 I think Bisley. Yeah, Bisley. That would make sense. Bisley.
Yeah. Tim Burns and Roger Ward also appear in supporting roles. Production development. George Miller was a medical doctor in Sydney, working in a hospital emergency room, where he saw many injuries and deaths of the types depicted in the film. He also witnessed many car accidents growing up in rural Queensland and lost at least 3 friends to accidents as a teenager. Pretty dark. Yeah.
So we see where his inspiration
is. Sydney Hospital.
We see where his inspiration is coming from. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. I almost lost where I literally lost where I was, but now, yeah. Miller met amateur filmmaker Brian Kennedy at a summer film school in 1971. The two men produced a short film, Violence in the Cinema Part 1, which was a screen at a number of film festivals and won several awards. 8 years later, they produced Mad Max, working with first-time screenwriter James McCausland, who appears early in the film as the bearded man in an apron in front of a diner. According to Miller, his interest while writing Mad Max was a silent movie with sounds employing highly reminiscent of Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd, while the narrative itself was basic and simple. Miller believed that the audiences would find his violent story more believable. It was set in a bleak dystopian future. He knew little about writing a script, but had read Pauline Kael's essay Raising Cain, and concluded that most major American scriptwriters like Herman McKinney Quicks and Ben Hecht were former journalists, so he hired McCausland, the Melbourne finance editor of The Australians, with whom he had previously bonded at a party as a fellow film buff. McCausland was paid roughly $3,500 for about a year's worth of writing.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, considering it's like 1979. It's crazy amount of money. I don't know how much exactly because I suck at maths, but it's amazing.
Well, I'll be honest, that's really not.
You're lagging.
As much money as like $1 million or $1 billion.
You are Robo, bro. You started being Robo like after you said it's to be honest, and then you were Robo.
Oh yeah,
Are you back with us? Are
like I
you
was saying.
back?
To be honest, yeah. Am I back or
I'm not
hello?
quite sure.
Okay.
Try
Do I
again.
sound better? Hello.
Yeah, yeah. You are no longer Robo.
All right.
So what
Jeez,
did
wow.
you wanted to say about to be
I
honest?
was I was gonna say, $3,500 isn't that much even for 1970 standards. Like I still say, like there are more far richer, like a million billions. So yeah, sorry to crush everyone's dreams, except 3,500 is not that many.
Yeah. Well, in 1980-ish, I think that you add a zero at the end, so that would be like probably 35,000 or so.
Yeah.
But again, I suck at math, so I may be wrong. Based on what you read, do you have any interest toward this movie?
Yeah, I had some interest because I actually did some research and actually found out Mad Max has a bit of a comic like stuff. So that's why I thought, it's kind of similar. Yeah. And yes, there's a lot of things that have comics. So that's why it's something that kind of interests me. But yeah.
Yeah, like I remember when I first started podcasts with Cole and such, he was finding a lot of like really niche comic book stuff that I never knew existed, and like we covered Sin City. That's a comic book stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if you have seen Sin City.
I have not, but I have heard about it. And yes, it is a comic book film. Yeah. And there's also others that even I didn't know, like the Matrix. It actually has some comics I didn't know. I'm not sure if it's fan made, but I think it's real enough for me to say yeah, it's comics. The Mission Impossible and the James Bond actually are have comics, which was shocking to me. I actually didn't know that. So we are covering some comic book films, but yeah.
Me neither, but I knew that James Bond was based on books. The like all of the James Bond, or I should say, most of the James Bond are based on books, and yeah, it's interesting. I always enjoy finding out about that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, okay. I enjoyed Mad Max. I was surprised. Usually, I hate these old movies. I'm like, yeah, like CG didn't age well, even if I don't really mention that much. But this movie was good. It's like one of my favorite old movies. Um, I only had one issue whatsoever, and this is a plot convenience. The mechanic guy happening to be in the other criminal's orbit, creating issues for the mother and kid. I can't remember what I referred to be honest. I know there was a plot convenience at some point in the movie. Maybe like someone in the playback will correct me or something like, oh, that was in that place in the movie. But yeah, outside of that, this movie is just action packed. It's very entertaining, and it takes like quite a long time for Mad Max to turn mad. Um, like the first half an hour is dedicated to like his life as a cop, and then something happens. Basically, his co-worker gets ended to be YouTube friendly, and he's sent at the hospital. He's like unrecognizable, unrecognizable.
Unrecognizable.
Exactly, that's the word I was searching for. Yeah, so he wasn't able to work anymore, and then Max is like, you know what? This job is shit. I just lost a friend. Let's quit. So he decides to quit, and he leaves with his wife and child, and they go on some kind of road trip because they want to leave town. And at some point they meet some kind of place where their tire get destroyed, so they basically need to replace the tires. And maybe that's where the convenience happens. So the garage is nearby one of the hideout of the criminals that basically killed um, Mac's friend. And these criminals just happens to be there, and they get to see the wife and kid, and they're like, "Oh, what a pretty girl!" And they are like the cliche, like disgusting pricks. So they go after the wife and such, and she escapes, but she is followed, and they don't know about that. And when it's all quiet and peaceful, well, they think it's all quiet and peaceful. They are out of town, and they're like in some kind of um campaign house, like I don't know, a cabin. I don't know how I could call it, but they're basically on a house that belong like to the grandma or something. And then the wife and kid, they just separate from Max, because Max is like cutting wood or something. He's occupied doing other stuff, and then that's when the criminal are attacking basically. And the result of the attack is kind of dark. The wife and kid both die, but everything I just told you was like under an hour, so it was really stretched on. It didn't add any pacing issue, but it was a long build up, because it's an hour to have like the drama to be at the climax. And like the last half an hour of the movie, it's just Mad Max going mad and like taking out every single criminal as revenge. And that was really cool. That was violent. And I just enjoyed that movie. The music was very good. The action was entertaining. And I feel like there was a lot of practical effects, a practical stunt and such, because that was during the days CGI wasn't that great, so they had no other choice but to perform like the stunt and do the action. So that's one of the highlights. That's like every car crash feels like a true car crash. It's just amazing that they were able to do such things in 1979. Um, and the characters are very likable. The girlfriend is like so sad when she dies. You're like, man, poor guy. I think anybody would go nuts if they would lose such a girlfriend. Um, so I will read out my comments I left on Letterboxd, a great website I do enjoy a lot. So I will just read notes. There we go. Mad Max, where are you? There's so many movies there. Okay, Mad Max, you are here. Characters and story were very entertaining and well made. The action was great. The runtime was perfect. Great action flick. Um, and that was a masterpiece, to be honest. Just a great movie. Highly recommend. So the final score for me would be a 9.8 out of 10. And it's rare I have these really, really weird numbers. The reason is I do think it's above a 9.7, but I also like gave away 9.9s. So I'm like, you know what? It's above a 7, but it's below a 9. So 9.8 is the score for the first Mad Max. So yeah, really solid movie. So I will let you, except if you'd like to add something, I will let you read out what's marked down about Mad Max 2.
All right. Mad Max 2, released as The Road Warrior in the United States, is a 1981 Australian post-apocalyptic dystopian action film directed again by George Miller, who co-wrote it with Terry Hayes and Brian Hannett. It is the second installment in the Mad Max franchise. This film stars Mel Gibson reprising his role as Mad Max Roktansky, and follows a hardened man who helps a community of settlers to defend themselves against a revolting band of marauders. Filming took place in locations around Broken Hill in the outback of New South Wales. Mad Max was released. Mad Max 2 was released in Australia on December 24, 1981, to widespread critical acclaim, with particular praise given to Gibson's performance, the musical score, the cinematography, the action scenes, the costume designs, and the sparing use of dialogue. It was also a box office success, and the film's post-apocalyptic and punk aesthetics helped popularize the genre in film and fiction writing. Plot: after a global war resulted in widespread of oil shortages and ecocide, civilization collapsed. In a world descended into barbarism, now former policeman Max Brotinsky, haunted by the death of his family, drives his supercharged Black V8 pursuit special around the desert wilderness of Australia, scavenging for food and patrol with his Australian cattle dog. Not a good idea, but okay. He outmaneuvers a small group of marauders led by an unhinged bikewise using his driving skills and a sawed-off shotgun. He steals some gasoline from the wrecked vehicles of one of his pursuers and inspects a wrecked semi-trailer and prime moves. Production. Following the release of Mad Max, director George Miller received a number of offers from Hollywood, including the one to direct First Blood. But he instead decided to develop a rock and roll movie, the working title of which was Roxanne. After working together on the novelization of Mad Max, Miller and Terry Hayes teamed up in Los Angeles to write Roxanne, but the script was ultimately shelved. Miller then became more intrigued with the idea of returning to the world of Mad Max, as a larger budget would allow him to be more ambitious. He said, "Making Mad Max was a very unhappy experience for me. I had absolutely no control over the final product, but there was strong pressure to make a sequel, and I felt we could do a better job with a second movie." Inspired by Joseph Campbell's The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and the work of Carl Jung, as well as the films of Akira Kurosawa, Miller recruited Hayes to join the production as a scriptwriter. Brian Hennon also came on board as co-writer, first assistant director, and second unit director.
Yeah, and it's funny because now we are right into the second Mad Max. So it's Road Warrior, or I can't remember the exact name in
Road
English.
Warrior.
Yeah, Road Warrior. Yeah. You know what's hilarious is how we massacred that name in French. In French, it's basically the challenge. It has nothing to do with the Road Warrior. Like in French, it's like le défi, which is challenge. It's like, how did you connect this shit? Like, no, let me translate this crap. No. That's why I don't watch the movies, or I try to not watch the movies. When it's English, of course, because when it's foreign, I'm glad to have my dub, because I don't like reading subtitles. Anyway, Mad Max 2 is even more surprising than the first one for me. Because I was like, okay, the first one was lightning in a bottle. They were lucky to get that one right. So I didn't believe at all I would like the second one. Was I dead wrong? I enjoyed that movie a lot. That was another really good movie. And after watching it, I understood why we got 5 movies in that franchise. I understood why people were like, "Oh, it's a good movie franchise." So after reading what you read about the second one, are you even remotely curious to eventually, in the far, far future, watch it?
Yeah, I am
Daisy?
interested in watching. Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Am I Robo again, or?
You were Robo for a second, but you are back with us right now.
All right. A lot of technical issues today. That's not fun. Yeah. So yeah, I am interested in watching some of these movies in the near future.
Not necessarily near because you got still a bunch of stuff you will need to watch for the future, but yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
um, I will also say that the lore and the universe was really cool, and it's funny because it's 1981 when they made it, and it's done in a better way than a lot of modern movies. It's just like really cool. I I thought that was a really good movie. So again, I mentioned the score, great music. The action was very entertaining, and I think this movie started the trope of someone having an empty gun and threatening someone else. Because at some point, um, the main character points out a gun that's empty, but the target he's pointing the gun at doesn't know it. So he was like complying. He was like following what Max was telling him because he thought the gun was loaded. And when he realized, damn, the gun is not loaded, the guy was so pissed. He was like, man, how dare you? You threatened me with the empty gun. Yes, I did. And I thought the characterization of Max in this movie was even better than in the first movie because he was depicted as very, very smart in a lot of clever way. He kept setting up traps on his cars. So, like, at some point, he blew up his own car to take out a bunch of henchmen. That was like the coolest shit ever. They're like, oh yeah, I will steal your gasoline, I will steal your guns. So they play around the car and boom, they blow up. It's not even a bomb, it's just a trap that the main character left for these guys. Um, really, that's a really good movie. They were able to do better than the first one. Um, I also thought the acting was really solid, and the dog was like so likable and enjoyable. It's like, man, that dog is like a character in itself. Um, 1981, folks. Um, at some point, there's a full-on war with a lot of chaos and everything blowing up. And I thought the ending was perfect. And it's sad because I don't have much more to say. That movie is just a better Mad Max. It's like the step in the right direction. Um, so yeah, I think I will read out my letterbox comments. Um, so this one is a 10 out of 10. And here's what I marked down: masterpiece, perfect movie, great action and humor, characters and story were entertaining, the car crashes were cool, the music was fun. So there's a lot of car crash. It's like car corn, to say friendly YouTube movies. It's like Fast and Furious, but with a good story and good characters. So yeah, that's like Mad Max in a nutshell. I'm sure like Fast and Furious were inspired by Mad Max because there's cars, there are cars. Anyway, um, do you want to add something about the second Mad Max?
I don't think I could because I didn't see any of these movies. But yeah,
Yeah. So let's start off Thunderdrome, Thunderdome,
Thunder
whatever.
Beyond Thunderdome, or yeah, Beyond Thunderdome.
And it's funny because before you read out the comments, I was like, maybe this franchise is the first franchise that started the rumor, or I should say, the belief that trilogies are bad, and when you make more than two movies, you fail. I thought that would be the case there. I was dead wrong. With that being said, I will let you start reading the production and such
All
for
right.
Beyond Thunderdrome.
All right, so Beyond Thunderdome is a 1985 Australian post-apocalyptic dystopian action film directed again by George Miller and George Ogilvy and written by Taylor Hayes and Miller again. It is the third installment in the Mad Max franchise. The film stars Mel Gibson and Tina Turner and follows a lone roving warrior who is exiled into the desert. It was Gibson's last role as Mad Max Rock Tanzinski. Beyond Thunderdome was released in Australia on July 10, 1985. The film received generally positive reviews from critics. A fourth film, Mad Max Fury Road, was released in 2015, stars Tom Hardy, aka Venom and Bane, as Max production. Beyond Thunderdome was the first Mad Max film without producer Brian Kennedy, who had been deleted in a helicopter crash in
Oh
1983.
my, that's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah. Director George Miller was hesitant to continue without his producing partner, saying later, "I was reluctant to go ahead, and there was a sort of need to let's do something just to get over the shock and grief of all of that." There is a title card at the end of the film before the credits roll that reads "For Brian."
Yeah, that's sad. Um,
Yeah.
so again, this movie shocked me so much because I thought I would hate it just like the other two. Even if I liked the other two, I was like, this one will be the one that will break me. This one will be the one that will disappoint me. I ended up liking it so much. This one was really cool. I felt like I was watching a story on an alien planet with like alien people, literally. So this is to tell you like the lore was like really unique and really good. And again, the music was really cool. And in this movie, we kind of realize there's a lot of different tribes, and you kind of discover like two big tribes in that movie. And yeah, like there's also a very, very unique fight sequence where people are like on cables, and basically when they jump because of that cable they have on them, they jump really high and they go very far, like it's like having less gravity. So they have also like weapon attached to the roof of the room, the ceiling of the room, and there's like weapon they try to get as they fight in that arena. and and it's just like it's something you need to experience. It's something you need to watch. It's just wow. The fight in that arena was like well made. And yeah, the action in this movie is as good as any other movies. There was a lot of tension, and there was also a lore, a legend about someone that will like liberate some of the people in these tribes, and they are led to believe that, oh, it's Max, the guy that will liberate them. And it's really cool. Uh, more car corn, um, more good music. It's just like a better Mad Max than the other two. It's surprising. Uh, it's funny because that's the one I have the less to say, but it's my favorite. And I think among these three, this one will be the only one I will actually rewatch in the future. Um, so that kind of spoiled a bit uh, my score on that one. Um, so I will just look into my notes on oh what wait what, where is it? Maybe I didn't. Oh, I think I see it. I didn't add it to my letterbox, so that's a movie I need to add to my letterbox. That's surprising I didn't add it because that's my favorite. Wow, I'm shocked. I'm weird. Oh, actually, no. I marked down I like the second one better. That's surprising, but very possible actually. Maybe it's because the runtime was longer with the third one. Yeah, I think that's it. The runtime was like an hour and a half for the first two, and the third one was like an hour and 45 minutes. But still, the pacing wasn't bad, but it was a longer movie, definitely. So I will actually look further in my letterbox. Maybe I have it somewhere else than in this list. I don't know if you ever have used letterbox.
I have not, and fortunately, I really don't plan on using it yet, or at least at the moment. I am kind of curious, but at the same time, it's like it's just for me to add where I can add my films or films that I liked. But
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see the point of adding the films you dislike. Um, but yeah, it is the thing I am interested, but at the same time, I'm like, is it really necessary? But yeah,
it's fun. It's like a social media centered around movies. Okay, so I just found where I marked down notes on this one. So as a reviewer, this movie is perfect and is probably the second best in the original trilogy. As a movie watcher, I wasn't a big fan of it. Oh, that's surprising. It's like two different. Well, my notes on my my notes number A and my notes number B. Okay. Um, I'd say I liked more the other two movies, despite the first one being the worst movie. Enjoyable ride with good music and action. The lore and adventure were both very fun. This movie feels very different when compared to the other two. And this I do remember and agree. Of course, I agree. I made that comment, but yeah. Um. So this Mad Max is also a 10 out of 10. But as I mentioned in my comments, I actually like the second one better. So yeah, um, I'm excited about Fury Road, and
and good
we
news
will.
that should be the one I should be available for because I do own that film, so yeah, I should watch it. If
And
for
you
some
got more than a month to watch it, bro, because like, we have a 2 week break in June, and I think it's the first week after that break that we will cover it. So that gives you like more than a month to watch like probably a 2 hour ish movie. Maybe
yeah,
it's more. I'm actually curious. I want to see the runtime. So
yeah,
Furry Road runtime.
yeah,
2 hours. Okay. So that gives you like a month to watch 2 hours of that.
yeah.
And how is the how is the progress with The Walking Dead?
I haven't made any progress, but I tried. But I'm yeah. It's kind of like with that playing with Walking Dead and Mad Max kind of messes up, like with season 10 because we're like the beginning of season 10 to the middle of season 10 to the end of season 10. You add Mad Max into the mix. Yeah, it's kind of there. I am haven't made progress with season 11, but that's why it kind of messes me up in a bit. But I'll try to get season 11 done, or at least hopefully make more progress. But yeah.
So again, if you need more time, we can always push back season 11 to after our break if that helps. But at some point I like it to be done.
Yeah, yeah, because we all know how much you enjoy that show, and
But
yeah,
I
but
like season 9. Well, I
but
think
then
yeah, I liked season 9. I didn't think it was a good season, but season 9 was enjoyable.
season 2 through 8, yeah, a lot less, but that's fine. Yeah, well, I can, well, yeah, I like. I'm just more shocked season 9 isn't even your least favorite because I almost predicted that would have been literally your least favorite because of how you constantly complain about the zombies and in that yeah, I knew that would have to been at least one of them, and I was shocked you didn't even brought that up, but well, nothing to complain about.
Yeah, well, like we didn't add, well, actually yeah, we had too many walkers with like 10,000. It's ridiculous, but they brought that up like in season 10. So
Yeah,
yeah. And I've
Yeah,
seen
I'm
the
just
first. I've seen the first 12 episode of 10, and I'm excited about Friday talk about it.
Does that mean you enjoyed it, or you just thought it was okay?
You will see.
Hmm.
But that's half a season, so again, I don't have as detailed notes. Maybe I will have enough time to almost finish the season because I like tonight after the stream, I will most likely finish Homecoming again because the last time I've seen it was many years ago, and I needed a
God,
refresher on that.
not
Um,
not that crappy movie. Why?
because it's coming soon, 2 weeks, I think. Well, next week. It's Friday next week. Friday next week is Guardian 2. That one is awful,
Yeah,
and
that one terrible. I don't think any of these the MCU films are good. I'm gonna be honest. Other than Phase One, I think none of them are good. Like like, and here's me, an actual comic book fan, trying to find if there's actually anything good. I'm like, no, there really isn't. And that's why I don't talk about MCU that much, because I don't see the point. It's just me constantly talking about films I don't like, and that's why it's like there's no point for me to talk about them. It's not like with Walking Dead, where it's actually something I actually do enjoy. Just there's some bad seasons in the mix. But yeah, well, Homecoming would certainly is going to be very interesting. That's for sure.
I enjoy it so far. Like I've seen 20 minutes just before we started to stream, and I liked it so far. Like no issue whatsoever. I'm excited to see the rest. Like I remember liking it a lot last time I've seen it.
Wow. Okay. You have your best movie takes, so
Hell yeah, hell
so
yeah.
um
But look, um, I'm excited about Friday. We will talk about Planet of the Apes. And it's funny because Friday before we stream, I will actually go see Kingdom. So I'm excited about that a lot. And it's funny because next Saturday, um, I will go watch again for a third time Fall Guy. The Fall Guy is just wow. I like this movie so much. And I'm so hyped to talk about it next Tuesday. That movie is just wow. Highly recommend. It's not as good as Monkey Man, but in my art, it's my second favorite movie of 2024. And so far, I've seen 9 movies of 2024. But we will see, like, we'll talk about a lot more of these in future streams. Like, we got weeks where we covered 3 2024 movies. Um, we will also cover Love Lies Bleeding next Tuesday with the Fall Guy. And this will be another very fun one. So yeah,
yeah, judging from the title of that, like, love film or love something, that generally sounds bad. So I assume you probably hated it.
actually not. I was surprised, and there's two meaning behind the title. Um, there's a lot of lies in the relationship, and there's a lot of people lying on the floor. So I get what they were trying to do. That's just a teaser for next Tuesday.
Mm.
Um, I enjoyed it, and it's funny because I'm kind of out of the loop, but that would be the kind of movies that the anti-woke crowd would like to shit on because the main couple in that movie is a lesbian couple.
Yeah,
I don't know if they did shit on the movie, but I did like the movie a lot. I like diversity.
yeah.
But I can bet and swear that if they covered it, they would complain about that. It's like,
Yep.
guys, it's not a true critique. Like, why do you complain about that, but you don't complain about straight couple? Be fair.
Yeah, it's people. It's people nowadays. Like no, like nowadays, you make a film, they're just gonna crap on it for no reason. It's because something offends them when even though it's like the smallest scene. It's like take any scene that offends you in Walking Dead that's very small multi and just put it out on steroids. Like that's how toxic the anti woke can get.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, man. And your brain is healthy because you stayed away from them.
Yeah, I mean, I do take some inspiration for to try and come up with ideas, man, for my Marvel's DC show to make that show, let's just say in less friendly words, disturbing and put you people in mental hospitals because why not? Uh, but yeah,
So next week we should be back with Window to Our Mind. I will message Gray to make sure of that because I I don't want to go back without him since he's willing to come back. Um, so yeah, I will talk to Gray to see if it's a sure thing that it will come back. What do you have going on your end of the internet?
uh, Friday I should be releasing my video about fixing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I've been having a lot of like delays. But I chose this week because I actually got some things I wanted to cover and all that. So that's why I decided to release it this week. And other than that, fortunately, don't have any other plans. I might just make some few goofy videos or dumb videos, but here and there. But that's about it. Don't plan to review stuff. Don't plan to do any wrestling video. No Marvel vs. DC video. No nothing video. So pretty much just I should at least have one coming out Friday, and then the week after that should be yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to me, I got a lot of the videos that are waiting on my computer. I'm like that. Nothing is fully ready, otherwise I would upload more. Um, I'm excited to have that Guardian of the Galaxy talk next week. It's funny because I when I rewatched yesterday, I didn't take any notes because I was like, I have the exact same issues I used to have, so I will stick to my previous review of that movie I did with Jaded the fanboy. So maybe next Friday, if the Jaded fanboy is available, we may end up having him back for MCU.
Yeah,
And
fingers crossed we have Jaded because I do miss Jaded. Like yeah. In fact,
I try
yesterday
having him each. That's also why we cover MCU, bro. Like I know he has seen most of the MCU, and that's also a good way to have Chillmonger as well. So
yeah
next week I will try to have both Chillmonger and Jaded back
yeah. You know it's
and
funny. Yeah.
Rosales.
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday I drew a Silver Surfer, and we all know how he reacted. So, and I want to know for obviously for Marvel, and I want to see, and it's for my Marvel DC show, and I want to see how he's going to react because I'm pretty sure he's just going to snap. And I plan to post on Cold Server when I obviously have it completed. It's almost complete now. I just got to do the coloring, but yeah, yeah, which we
That's
might
cool.
see. Yeah, we might see a very different Jaded after he sees that design for Silver Surfer. I wonder if it's going to be worse than the one that we're getting the MCU or MCU. Yeah, the crappy MCU. But yeah,
It's funny because backstage we kind of talked a bit. Um, I got thumbnails ready for the rest of this season, and season 6 will happen eventually. Hopefully, we get people back. If we don't, it will still happen with whoever wants to come with us for season 6. And season 6, I will have other thumbnails ready, and they will be very different than the ones I did for season 5 because the ones I did in season 5 were like my target practice. I've started doing these thumbnails and I feel like I got better for my next show I start in July. Because in July I start a new show which will be named mainstream movie reviews. And I will talk about big IPs, just like the Red Blue podcast, but like if there's no big movie release in theater, there's no stream that week. So that won't necessarily be weekly. Like it will be weekly as long as there are movies to cover, but sometimes there isn't. So like in July there's two movies. In August, I think there's only one movie, maybe two movies August. I'm not quite sure. I would need to rewatch the planning I had. Um, and all of that is like subject to change because if they postpone or delay a movie, that movie will be moved elsewhere. If they basically cancel a movie, it's rare they do, but if they cancel a movie, it's literally canceled from the planning. And like for the rest of 2024, there's at least 12 uh episode planned for that. And I did the thumbnails for like four of the 12 episodes. So the first month ish will be ready. And that was my target practice. I'm very excited to reveal that and to start that new podcast. I will add you to the chat I will create for it if you want. Because again,
All right.
that's big IP. So there's a chance you may have seen some of the movies. Like to give you an idea, August we will have Alien Romulus. So this means that stream talking about Alien Romulus. I will also talk about Alien and Predator and Alien versus Predator. And it's just because the IP is so big, I won't specifically review like specific movies. We'll just talk about the franchise. Um, and I hope we will have a lot of guests. That podcast will be on Saturdays because that's right after Friday. Because Friday will be packed with the Red Blue, or it will be packed with me taking too many naps. Anyway, this is in the future. So many projects. I am very excited about everything. And do you want to add something, DC?
Not for me. I have nothing really to add.
Perfect. And we are out. And we will stream Planet of the Ape Friday and The Walking Dead season 10 from episode 1 to episode 12 actually. I marked down 11, but I did see 12. So 1 to 12. Anyway, we are out for tonight. Thank you DC a lot. Let's end it.